Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, please.
Yes. So my name is Alex Connell, and I am the founder and CEO of pattyandricky.com, which is an inclusive shopping experience that offers stylish and functional clothing and accessories for women, men, and kids with disabilities.
Whenever you talk about disabilities, is there like a specific disability or just all disabilities?
So specifically with Patty and Ricky, it was really important to us to kind of bring disability together. So we have products that kind of serve different needs for people with temporary disabilities, lifelong disabilities, disabilities you acquire in life, you're born with, as well as even disabilities like anxiety that is invisible, so which is what I have. I have dyslexia, ADHD, and I also have anxiety since I've gotten older. And we have fidget rings and other different fidget jewelry that can help with movement and allow people to kind of alleviate some anxiety, as well as essential oils and things. So, so we'd like to group disability together as people, as one.
I see. Can you tell us how you got the name Patty and Ricky? How did that name come to be?
Yes. So Patty was my mom. She was the coolest mom you've ever met. Her and I were best friends, and 10 years ago, she was diagnosed with brain cancer, with glioblastoma, and I became her caretaker. And when she got sick, I realized, she was a very fashionable woman, and when she got sick, there was nothing out there for her that was functional and stylish. My cousin was named Ricky, and he was also an incredibly cool person and a really cool teenager. And he was unable to walk or talk. But he was, you could tell what he was trying to say through his eyes, and he showed me that his wheelchair was his vehicle, but also a fashion accessory.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we named it Patty and Ricky after both of them.
With Patty and Ricky, and you're telling us that you grew up with ADHD and, and diagnosed also with anxiety and dyslexia. When we spoke earlier, you're also an educational a principal. Matter of fact, kind of wrote you off. Saying that you weren't going to make it. Pretty much, that's what they pretty much said, and it was your mom. It was your mom that pretty much told this principal, like, well, why are you saying that? Like kind of how did that kind of like set the bar for you, what you wanted to do with your life, how you wanted to get everything ready for what Patty and Ricky came to be.
Yeah, my first experience with disability was my own, going through special education. And yes, I had that principal tell my parents, they didn't think I would make it to high school. And, they were very wrong. I ended up going to Columbia University Teachers College for graduate school. And, but I definitely was, it really made me think that, I always was I still to this day struggle with reading with my eyes, but I listen to most of my books on tape. And, I'm a 30-year-old woman. And I function in this world pretty well. I made it work for me, and I got good grades in school by listening to my books on tape. But it was definitely motivating, it's having, instead of taking it the way, kind of believing him, my parents were really fueled by it and made it, work and figure out my learning in a different way. And, of course, they got me out of that school right away. But it definitely fueled, and it's kind of the way I see the world differently now is, my experience with disability is that you can't really judge someone by the way they look, the way they act, the way they think, and I guess, of course, the way they read, because it doesn't mean I'm a pretty good talker. I'm not a good reader, but I'm a good talker. So you capitalize on your abilities.
Yeah. What made you want to get this, this shopping, this little shopping experience? What made you want to get that ready for the people that, deal with the disabilities? What got that through your head? What got that going?
Yeah, I started to come across products that were functional and stylish. And I kept thinking about how when my mom was sick, there was nothing out there for her that was a beautiful shopping experience. There was only medical supply stores and and if you're lucky, disability expos. But there wasn't a beautiful shopping experience. That was a department store feel that made you feel good. And so I started to come across products that were already out there, many of which are made by individuals with disabilities or a loved one. A loved one is making the products inspired by an individual with a disability. So I started to bring these designers together and curate these products in a beautiful marketplace. And there was nothing out there like it. And, so we kind of I started just taking off and running and partnering with all these different designers.
Did some of these designers, do they deal with disabilities in their own way, or do they have families that have disabilities as well?
We have designers that maybe have a disability. So we have, I'm so sorry. We have denim jeans for individuals in wheelchairs that are stylish and functional with pockets that are accessible for individuals in wheelchairs. And that is designed by a good friend of mine, and she's a great designer. Her name's Heidi, and she uses a wheelchair also. So, truly nothing about us without us. The individual using a wheelchair is making a product for an individual in a wheelchair. They know what that individual will need because they need it as well. We also have magnetic button-down shirts that look like typical button-downs, but they're all magnetic. Mm-hmm. And that is made by a woman named Maura Horton, and she invented them for her husband who had Parkinson's, who was a football coach and needed help button down his shirt, and his players were having to help him. And she said, "Oh no, I can come up with something that works." So she invented the magnetic button down and has that patented. So, and we sell those, and they help people with Parkinson's, cerebral palsy, other physical disabilities. So it really truly is loved ones with a disability in their family, someone with a disability in their family, or an individual with a disability creating products.
With Patty and Ricky, is it still online right now, or is it like, are the stores? Are you able to walk in the stores, or what? How is the person able to shop?
Yes. So right now we have pattyandricky.com, which is our main marketplace for people to shop with us, and they can always give us a call or email us, and we'll support them to walk through the website. We also are starting an idea, which is doing pop-up stores. So we're starting with a pop-up store in New York City this fall, where individuals with disabilities and their loved ones can come in and shop. We're going to be open for a little over a month in New York City by Grand Central Station. And then I hope to kind of see, we're kind of really going with what our customers tell us and what they want. So we're going to start with that one pop-up, and if it's successful and people love it, then we're going to do more.
Tell me, with Patty and Ricky, what is the overall goal with the Patty and Ricky stores, not only for online, but just overall?
Well, right now we are, a marketplace, and I want to bring in more designers to have more products for individuals with different needs and really be the one-stop shop for people with disabilities. But, I do see us doing pop-ups, but, there is a dream of mine to be in a department store with a Patty and Ricky section where we are truly inclusive within a department store or someone else's store, just so people with disabilities can, shop for functional and stylish clothing in a store near them, near home. So right now, we're starting with online and a pop-up, but maybe one day I'd love to see us in a department store.
Yeah, we hope that too. I mean, we just, I know a lot of people, will go into the stores. They just can't find the clothes that they're looking for because of maybe the disability that they have, and they have that embarrassing feeling. So we hope for that as well. There's one thing I was wanting to bring up, and we've spoken about this before. A while back, a couple years ago, they had those fidget spinners. Mm-hmm. And those are very, very popular, and I know they help with a lot of with keeping that just keeping your hands movement going. Does that help out? Does that help out with a lot, or do y'all sell anything similar to those? Because we brought that up before as well.
Yes, I in terms of fidget spinners, I I think that they're very cool, and I have 10-year-old siblings, and they love them. I think they're very cool. But I just because being that I went to a teacher's college, I definitely think they could be distracting in the classroom. And I could see how they could be, at least. And for me, like as I'm talking to you right now, I have my fidget jewelry on. It's very discreet, and I have to move to support my thinking. Like in order to keep thinking and keep thinking clearly, I need movement. I think that has to do with my ADHD. So, when kids are in a classroom and they're stuck to their seat and they can't move, it's sometimes hard for a lot of kids with and without ADHD to continue thinking. They get tired, they start daydreaming. So, we do have fidget jewelry that is kind of more for adults, but we do have some teenage women who use it. And it's discreet. We do also have essential oils and essential oil diffusing jewelry that can help with kind of feeling calm or kind of waking up the brain a little. But yeah, fidget spinners are way cool. I'm not anti them, but I definitely can see them as a distraction in school.
Could people, with disabilities and people with that don't have disabilities, can both shop at Patty and Ricky?
Yeah, a lot of our products we call it universally designed for everybody. So we have these really cool rain capes that are on our website. They're designer rain capes. They're beautiful. They'll last a lifetime. Incredibly well made. And they actually were designed initially for bicycle riders that were riding their bike to work in New York City and in Boston area. And we sell them because they work perfectly over wheelchairs. So, so it's just interesting how some products, just when you kind of tweak the design, they allow for more people to utilize them. So we do have a great gift guide section on our website for loved ones who have loved ones with disabilities, and you're looking for a holiday gift or a birthday gift. We want to be that place that you would go to find a beautiful gift for your loved one for the holidays, something that they would love. And so I hope that we have products for everybody, and I really want everyone to feel proud to wear something from Patty and Ricky.
I don't know. I'm really interested. I don't know about the other two that are in here, but I'm really interested in that the shirt with the magnets instead of the buttons. Yeah. I think that's very, very amazing. And especially just hearing what the designer and her husband, what he went through. That's very, very thoughtful. Very, very thoughtful. And kudos to her and kudos to him for just going through that and what they've done. I thought that was one of the greatest things ever. But we're going. I want to thank you very much, Alexandra, for being on our show today. Could you give us that website one more time and also the phone number to get in touch with Patty and Ricky, please? Yes. Well,
thank you so much. You've been incredibly supportive. I so appreciate you. Our website is pattyandricky.com. That's PATTIANDRICKY.com. And the phone number that they can call, and they're probably most likely maybe even talk to me, is 303-578-6594.
Alexandra, thank you very much. We are going to take a short break here on Muskogee Radio. Please stay tuned. You're listening to Muskogee Radio here on The Brew.
Red Stick Gallery in Okmulgee, Oklahoma features items handmade or designed by Muskogee Creek Enrolled citizens from all over. Owned by the Muskogee Creek Nation, the gallery proudly sells ribbon skirts and vests, Southeastern designed clothing, jewelry, prints, and many other items. For more information, visit www.creeknationgiftshop.com. Red Stick Gallery, located 105 South Grand Avenue in historic downtown Okmulgee.
Get ready to make memories. 4 days of free family.
Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am. And I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Right there. Well, welcome back to Muskogee Radio here at The Brew. I'm sitting here with Andy Proctor from the Muskogee Creek Nation Citizenship Office, and we're going to talk about the new enhanced tribal cards today. So, how are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Glad to be here.
All right, I'm glad you're here. So let's just jump into it and just kind of explain what these cards are.
Okay, so the new card that we offer is what we call the Enhanced Tribal Identification Card. It is a Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative compliant card, which that's WITI for short, and ETC for short is what we go by. They're a new document that we want to offer to our citizens. Certainly, if they travel to anywhere in the Western Hemisphere, this card would definitely come in handy for them.
Okay, go ahead. You've been working on approval for these cards for a while now. Could you tell us what were some of the main challenges that the department faced?
Right. So yeah, we've been working on it for the better part of 3 years now. And probably the biggest challenge that we faced was just there not being a lot of information out there on how tribes can go about approval for these cards. There were several steps of approval. The first being a memorandum of agreement between the tribe and Department of Homeland Security. That certainly is a huge step between the two. Then there's an inter-service connection agreement that is done between the tribe and DHS as well, and that certainly takes a long time to work out. But the main part of it was just there not being a lot of information out there on, this is a roadmap you need to travel to go, and these are the steps you need to follow to obtain this card. And another being that our office is an all Mac environment, and a lot of the enterprise world works off of Windows environment, so there were definitely some challenges there for our computer systems to speak to each other, so to say.
Now, before we get too far away, for folks who are not familiar with the concept here, having a tribal citizenship card is not the same as what we're talking about here, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And there's been some confusion, I think, at least here in Oklahoma, about this Real ID Act, whether or not a Oklahoma license, driver's license was good for approval, like at an airport or whatever else. So maybe we can take a few seconds right there and explain what those are.
Yeah, sure. So just to start off, the Real ID Act is really only establishes minimum security standards for state-issued identification cards and driver's licenses. And the key word there being for the states. Any form of tribal identification falls outside of the scope of Real ID requirements. They're exempt from Real ID requirements. Now, the new enhanced tribal card is compliant with the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative, or WITI for short.
Now, you've used the phrase Western Hemisphere a couple of times, so what are we talking about there? Like U.S. and Canada and Mexico? Is
yeah,
that
so we're talking about the Canada, Mexico, Caribbean, through land and sea borders. So that's exactly what we're.
Okay, my question is there any way that it goes past Mexico, like past into South American countries? Is it going to be accepted there? Because it is called the Western Hemisphere,
right?
And so I didn't know if that's possible to use it for that.
Right. So currently it only extends to the land and sea borders of the United States. So unfortunately, that's where it's at.
And I know that Gary mentioned it, but in the past, I've tried to use tribal ID. I've known friends that have citizenship card that have tried to use the tribal ID at stores and stuff and being turned away. I mean, could you explain why this might occur? Do you think that maybe people don't understand how tribal identification works?
Right. Yeah, and that's what we've come to find is that is the main hurdle to jump there is the education of how tribal identification is obtained, the processes that somebody has to go through to get a tribal identification card, and a lot of it just being there's so many tribes to keep up with photo IDs. There's 500 plus tribes within the United States. And we certainly try to make sure that people within our boundaries know about our card. We're on the approval list for secondary forms of ID for the state of Oklahoma, just our regular citizenship card is. So it's definitely an education, getting the word out about our card and letting businesses know, hey, this is a legit ID. This isn't something that's easily made or easily frauded as well.
A couple of years back, I was going to the airport to, I think, head for Tempe or Phoenix or whatever. And I realized I had left my driver's license at home. I'd used it for a bookmark or something silly like that. And all I had was a tribal ID card. And after a moment or two of panic, I whipped that out and said, will this work? And yeah, that's fine. That's great. That'll work. And all of a sudden, this feeling of superiority came over me. He said, I got one of these and you don't. I can get into a federal building and you can't. So are we talking kind of a similar situation there? Does it affect the use or the kind of, I guess, the standing for tribal ID at all?
Are you talking about the enhanced tribal card affecting the standing?
You feel like a step above, so to speak, or?
Yeah, if you were to take it as far as stepwise, the enhanced tribal card would be a step above the standard issued citizenship card. We have used our standard citizenship cards to fly. We've also used the enhanced tribal cards to fly. The main difference between them is the compliance with a federal mandate, being the WITI compliancy with the enhanced tribal card. Here in the near future, so Department of Homeland Security is going to come and do a final site visit with our office, and just to kind of come through, see how things are going, inspect our policies and procedures, make sure everything's on the up and up. Once that takes place, it'll be published within the Federal Registrar that Muskogee Creek Nation is now offering enhanced tribal cards, and that will go out to all federal agencies and other places that use the Federal Registrar to take notice that, hey, we are, this is legit, and we're here.
Right, and of course the Federal Registrar puts its stamp of legitimacy on things like that, like new federal rules and stuff like that. It means they're legal, including this card.
Right, correct.
So what I would like to ask is, what was the importance of this initiative to get this the enhanced tribal card started for your department?
The importance behind it is this card. It's a we call them documents. It's a document that not only what would you say? I'm trying to think of the word here. It denotes the identification of the document holder, So it's a photo ID, and also denotes your citizenship, the United States citizenship, and also your Muskogee Creek citizenship, because you have to be a Muskogee Creek citizen to obtain an enhanced tribal card from the Muskogee Creek Nation. So the important, and just adding to the importance of it, of like we were going back to the Federal Registrar, this is going to be published of, this has been approved by Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection as a compliant document, and they're issuing them now, so take notice.
Okay, with this document, it's not just a little card that gets handed out. There's a lot of background check, as you say, the documentation for citizenship, which isn't very easy to come by itself. There's a lot of work that goes into making sure that these are legitimate, legal documents, correct?
Yes, there is a lot of, and I think some people would backlash and say, well, why are you asking for all this documentation? And what we would like to make known is there's a lot of people who want to become native, so to speak, for benefits. They want to fraud the tribe and obtain benefits, whether that's health care, school clothing, and we take that very seriously. We want to, so to speak, make it easy for the individuals that it belong to, but at the same time make it hard for those who should not be getting these cards. And that goes from the ETC to the standard citizenship card too. Everything that we have come across and learned from implementing the ETC card has been implemented as part of the standard citizenship card. So it's made us better, more refined in that aspect as well. Now you have to provide, for the ETC card, you have to provide identification documents, which are your birth certificate, social security card, a driver's license, other form of ID, and if you've had any type of name change, so say a marriage license, bring that in as well. And you also have to go through an interview, just as another step of verifying the individual in front of us is who they say they are. It just takes it that one step further to go through.
Have you thought about the at-large citizens that might be interested in obtaining this idea of how the interview process would have to be for them? Because it is an in-person interview process. Is there any way, have you thought about a way to kind of work with them on that?
Yeah, so and we definitely have taken that into account. Currently, right now, you have to come into the office to do the interview, and everything's done right there. It's done in our Jinx location. But this is only the beginning stages of it. What we have tried to work out is when we go onto remotes, like we've been to Arizona, to California, New Mexico, and where else did we go? We went to Dallas this year as well. We want to be able to do everything except printing the cards on the road, so to speak, at these remotes for the at-large citizens, so they're able to obtain this card as well.
Okay. So just so there's not a panic, and just clarify with citizens out there, this is an optional card, right?
Correct. Yes, this is an optional card, just something that outside of our standard citizenship card.
Right, and it can be used in lieu of a citizenship card, though. It's like you don't have to have it, but if you have it, you can use it instead of your citizenship
Right.
card.
Yes, that's correct.
So the program, so you can use it in the programs that you were talking about for services within Muskogee Creek Nation. They'll begin to accept that card instead, and if they don't have their citizenship card.
Yes, and it's just that. And like I said, a lot of the tribal programs know that we're issuing the card, and we they know what it kind of looks like up to its final form, and it's just a matter of letting them know, hey, these are legitimate cars. This is the final form of what they look like. Because we've gone through a few, what would you say, artwork changes through the cycle of it.
Okay, so I have to have I want to ask this question because something that's different about this card is that it can include minors, a photo ID for a minor, which, I mean, besides a driver's license or a driver's permit, I mean, how young can a minor be to have a photo ID card with this enhanced tribal card?
Any age.
Any age?
Any age. You could bring a 5-month-old child, and we're going to take a picture and put it on the card. But that brings up a good point of the requirements for, as far as, because small children, their features change so much. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in our policies and guidelines that they have to be there. It's not going to be like our standard citizenship card where a child, they don't have to be present for a parent to get their card. Mm-hmm. For the ETC card, because it is required to have a photo on there, the child will have to be there every time, and it can't be like now we allow you to send in passport photos for the citizenship card. Currently, you have to be present with the child, and that's just because, like I said, children's facial features change almost daily, it seems like.
So some guy who's 23 can't come in with this 5-month-old child picture. Right. Say, that was me. I was there. I was there.
Yeah. Or a 10-year-old that's like, this is me at 5 years old in kindergarten, because there's an expiration date, or there's an expiration year.
Right.
So
right.
5
Yeah.
years.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. There's. Yeah. So it's it'll be. It'll be interesting to do the first one with a child under 1 year old. For sure.
Well, kind of while we're in this area, who would you recommend possess these things? Who should come in and get one?
I recommend it for everybody, and I know that kind of sounds as a blanket statement. Sorry, but I think this is another way for the tribe to exercise its sovereignty. Of hey, we're identifying our people, and you're going to recognize it. So I really recommend everybody to come and get the card.
Okay, I'm gonna just address kind of our coverage on this. It was kind of like humorous almost. We had posted the little sample card, and it has the minor on it. And one of the things that we had come up was the address that was on the card. And if you could just clarify a little bit, because I mean people might still be confused about because we're using that for our sample, and that's going to be going out into the paper. So just to maybe clarify some of the confusion there with the address and releasing what they thought we were.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion on that. That is sample data. The address that's on the card is the physical address to the tribe. So if you were to Google that address, it would take you to the GSA building of the tribe. Okay. So that's not live data. And I also saw some of the comments, I'm on the other card. and people and I got a kick out of it too. The card, it has my picture. Obviously a male, but the card says female. So that is just that's all test data. It's not to be, taken as this is what it's always going to be like. It's just a sample card with test data.
You're ever going to be able to live that one down?
I have plenty of friends,
Oh yeah.
Plenty of friends gave me a hard time about that one, but it's all in good fun, and I don't mind it. I got a kick out of it. They also said that I kind of look like the young guy on the enhanced card, so they were telling me I look 20 years younger when I shave. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Well, I think that kind of concludes some of the questions that I had, but I mean there were some other things that kind of came up about passport. I think whenever you say passport, people are like, I'm going to Europe, you know, with this card. So what is it, you know, that were kind of the limitations of making it a full-blown international passport?
Right, yeah. So it is not equivalent to the passport book. You're not going to be able to get on a plane and fly to Europe, fly to Russia, or do any type of international flying with it. It is equivalent to the U.S. passport card, is what the equivalency is there. And it's go to and from the United States by land or sea border crossings.
Okay. Have you ever thought about Creek Nation starting to do passport books?
We definitely have, and it's, you know, we try to take on all challenges. So I mean, that would definitely be a challenge, but I don't think it's anything that if the opportunity ever comes up for us to do, I wholeheartedly believe that we're going to go through with it.
You know, that's an interesting question. The Iroquois National Lacrosse team was traveling on Iroquois passports, Haudenosaunee passports, and some countries would recognize them, but the U.S. has always given them a hard time. So if we were to go that route, it would be quite a job in convincing the U.S. State Department to accept them, and any other country, I presume.
Right, yeah, so that's it would getting the other countries to recognize them. As that would be probably the most, just looking forward, the biggest hurdle is getting other countries to recognize the Muskogee Creek passport book.
It would give the State Department quite a tweak too.
Yeah, we've definitely had run-ins with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Are there any other benefits to this card besides just a passport? I mean, we talked about, you know, it's a little bit past a real ID, you know, with it being a tribal ID card. Could you explain maybe something else that we could see that would make, because the cost of it is $45, and I mean, some people might see that as a little bit pricey for just like a passport card. Could you explain some of the benefits besides that?
Right. So we're currently in the works, and this has not been approved yet, but we're currently in the works with the state of Oklahoma for it to be approved as a primary form of identification. Our standard citizenship card is approved as a secondary form of ID. So you have, with that card, you have to have some sort of documentation with it. With a primary recognition, it would be a standalone card. Say, this is my identification. This is all you would need for it.
Right. So if I were to get, like, say, if I got pulled over for speeding and we had, you know, not saying I'm going to be speeding everywhere, but to make it a primary, card, that would be like, you don't have to pull out your state ID in that case, if it were to be made and recognized as a primary form of ID.
Well, if you're going to get pulled over for speeding, you're still going to need a driver's license.
Right, I know. Well, because I have been pulled over. Secret's out. I was pulled over and I had actually lost my driver's license at home, or I left it at home, and I had my tribal card, and I was panicking, and I was like, this is like, I just kind of handed it to OHP, the Highway Patrol, and they were able to actually look and see if your license is valid through the information. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm not going to get in trouble for not having a license because my license was valid. They were able to check that. So I thought that it was interesting that, I mean, the benefits of a citizenship card and also the enhanced tribal card. It's a good thing for Creek Nation.
Right, we're definitely proud of it, and I think we've put a service and a product, so to speak, out and available to our citizens that they also can be proud of.
Okay, well, it looks like we're going to run a little tight on time here, so we're going to have to wrap this up. Now, if anyone has any questions or wants more information on obtaining one of these cards, how do they go about it?
I just want to add one more note. We are the 9th tribe in the nation and the first in the state of Oklahoma to be approved to issue these cards. So we're definitely on the leading edge of moving forward on these. But yeah, so if you want to contact our office and obtain an ETC card, you have to set up an appointment, and you can call the main Jinx line. It's 918-701-2611, and call, and you'll be transferred to enrollment specialist who can schedule an appointment for you.
Right, cool. All right, so I think we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with this interview with Jerry McPeak.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in two worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
This next piece is a interview conducted by our colleague Jason Salzman with Mr. Jerry McPeak, who's got a real important job with the tribe now. So let's first of all thank Jason, and we'll go ahead and roll this.
After previously serving as MC and Tax Commissioner, what has the transition been like for you now as Tribal Administrator full-time?
It's different when you take it on as a full-time deal. I thought we'd probably gone as far as we could go. Judy was here, and so out of respect to her, I didn't change anything in the office, and there were things that I didn't want to implement, because why would you change something if someone else is going to come in and be doing it? So there were some things we didn't do, and we'd kind of got to the point where we're going to need to do something to put some kind of permanence to some of the moves that we needed to make or wanted to make.
What is a general overview of the kind of business that happens on a daily basis from the Tribal Administrator's office?
There is a lot of reactionary things that you do, but there's certainly a lot of planning things. We do a lot of policy and procedure as an example, or people's situations. I'm not a micromanager at all. And that will change the personality of an office based on who's there. So I've been very flattered that a lot of the cabinet members come in to visit, and not for me to tell them what to do, but rather for them to express situations they're dealing with and what do you think. So that's a pretty flattering deal. And we do a lot of that. So that makes it pretty diverse with their things. And then there are those things that come up on a daily basis that come up for the chief or for us that we deal with. And of course, then we have IT and human resources, facilities, GSA, and fleet that are directly respond to this office. So there's a pretty diversified, extremely diversified, as a matter of fact.
What were some of the initial things you learned upon accepting the new position?
Yeah, that's one thing that I felt like when we got here, it was well organized. To be candid, if there were things that I told the people, even when I was here on a temporary basis, easy for you to say, basis, even on a temporary basis, the thing I saw throughout the tribe when I got into this position was more siloing, isolationism, rather than one of the first things we did was try to change our communication system where everyone can have the same information. There's no reason why, if social services doesn't have it, why realty can't have it, or why tax commission can't have it, rather than having to dig everything up every time. So we worked on that. So I guess communication and cooperation between the groups. And yet I found that rules and regulations actually get in the way of doing a lot of that. If someone they're only paid with federal funds, well, they can't do some of these things. They can't be involved in some of those things. So I found some blockages that I didn't realize were there at the time. But we're still improving on that, I think.
Are you still the tribe's tax commissioner, or is there a vacancy currently in that position?
Yes, there is a vacancy there. The ladies at the tax commission are extremely adept at handling the situation, and that's part of the cooperation I was talking about. Just because I've moved out of the tax commission doesn't mean they can't pick up the phone and call and say, hey, Jerry, here's a situation we're facing, what do you think? And they're running it. I'm not making decisions, but I'll do the same with them because I value their advice regardless of what we're in, and I do that. Just this morning I've been to Fleet, I've been to Human Resources, I've been in the Chief's office, I've been in the second Chief's office saying, okay, here's what we're doing. Tell me how y'all read this, because trying to isolate yourself and make a decision just based on what you know is, I can multiply my intelligence quite a little bit by asking other folks. So that's going to be the same there.
Yeah. So you're not getting the tax commissioner salary and the trial.
Oh no.
I just wanted to clear that up.
As a matter of fact, they made fun of me because I had the tax commissioner salary, which was not, and I did that. I did both jobs for a year.
Yeah.
And no, that's something you don't ask, or I didn't ask about. I didn't feel comfortable ever asking about that. Yeah.
Was it difficult to leave your post as MC and tax commissioner?
You would assume that maybe taking this position would be just like a slam dunk decision, and it really wasn't a slam dunk decision for me. I really enjoyed the tax commission, and I enjoyed it because of the people we had in the tax commission. The ladies there were very adept, and we had adjusted who we were to what we wanted to be, which was very service oriented and making the people welcome. I think we learned that pretty well. I think they do that pretty well. So I was very proud of them, and I enjoyed going to work because they were there. They made it enjoyable, and our atmosphere was very relaxed, and we covered each other and did things for each other, and so it was a good teamwork situation.
Considering your Oklahoma Legislative and Tribal Tax Commission experiences, what are your thoughts on medical marijuana being legalized and what that could mean for Muskogee Creek Nation?
It's like I tell folks so many times, everything now is only conjecture. Even though they've passed the deal, the rules haven't been established. There were some people got together, and there were 62 pages of rules that came out that we had access to on Sunday. Some of that's very, very interesting. Because we've changed state law doesn't mean federal law has changed. And just a while ago I was telling you about how we try to cooperate more among ourselves here at the tribe. There's things that we can't do because of federal law, or that the state can't do because of federal law. And part of that is like banking. You can't run the money from the medicinal marijuana through a federal bank. Were you aware of that? Yeah. So there are some things there that look into. You mentioned the farming. I think to look into it is wise. To make the decision about it is a long ways off from making any kind of decision about it.
Jerry McPeak speaking with Jason Salzman about his new job as our tribal administrator. And I was wondering if he was going to ask that question about double dipping, but he managed to sneak out of that quickly. Okay, we have a few minutes left, and we have some announcements here. Let me get these. I'll start here. And it looks like the Muskogee Loan Fund has been incredibly busy setting up things to educate our citizens. First of all, coming up about the middle of this month, they have an Indianpreneurship class coming up with a business curriculum. Also, QuickBooks accounting software. And finally, social media and marketing, which is becoming increasingly important, along with business boot camps and networking. So those will all be taking place in the middle of September here. If you're interested, give the Muskogee Loan Fund a call at 918-549-2603 to reserve seats.
The Muskogee Nation Youth Council is celebrating Grandparents' Day by inviting Muskogee elders to Movie with the Elders. It's going to be September 8th at 2 p.m. at the College of the Muskogee Nation Student Center, and they're going to be featuring the movie Smoke Signals. For more information, you can call 918-549-2557.
We got a benefit bingo for Florence Brown funeral expense. Be September 8th. The food sale begins at 11:30 and the bingo will start at 1. Location will be at the Glenpool Indian Community Activity Building, which is 13839 South Casper Street West in Glenpool. The regular packs start at are $10, and special packs are $5. For more information, contact Felix Brown at 918-504-0215.
Oh boy, we're short on announcements. So.
Very, yes.
So folks, if you got something happening in the community, let us know. We will definitely try and include it in this segment of this particular program, Muskogee Radio, here on 1240 The Brew. And we do discuss these topics in our editorial sessions on Monday morning, and sometimes these get assigned as stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be you might have something there that we're very interested in. While we're kind of killing time, shall we say, has there been anything in particular for either of you that kind of stuck in your mind as a particularly interesting story that you've been working on? Darren, you got anything there?
You know, as a matter of fact, it was the one that we talked about earlier today. The first interview this morning was Alexandra Connell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got that back in July. I was on vacation, as a matter of fact. I was reading the emails, and I saw that, and I wanted to pursue it. And then our then managing editor, Jessica McBride, I asked her, I said, hey, when I come back, can I go ahead and pursue this? And we were trying to think of an angle to go through it. And, you know, we thought we had somebody to be able to talk to, but, you know, that didn't go through. But we still wanted to go through, be able to talk to this lady anyways, you know, because, I mean, it's a good story, and it's a good subject to bring up, especially for adaptive clothing, you know, especially for people dealing with disabilities, on how they could wear something. So that really, you know, came to mind on, you know, that, and it stuck with me ever since.
You know, the magnet shirt thing really stuck out for me. I thought, you know, it's a great idea. I mean, gosh.
And there's other ones too, like there's people that have like ports, I guess, in their arms, or, I mean, they have type of clothing that deal with that have like with shirts that deal with that, and it was just amazing. And also people that deal with diabetes and they have those insulin pumps, they have like, and from the picture that I had, it looks like an ab belt. Y'all remember them ab belts that you put on? You put it under your shirt, but that it has a pocket. And some people, and you can put keys in there and put your phone, but it's designed for like a insulin pump, and it's well hidden. Yeah. But it's for that, and I thought that was amazing that these people who deal with these disabilities themselves are, you know, thinking these up, and they thought of it. They modify their clothing to be able to do it, but they say, hey, let's do this and let's make it go global. You know,
I ran across a shop like this once when I was in Anchorage, Alaska. Specifically for people who had challenges. It's like they had a phone with enlarged numbers, so people could easily read it and dial or punch up their numbers, and even playing cards.
Yeah.
You know, like you could see the ace of spades, and it was huge, and you know, there was no question about that. And then other things, you know, that would give people who needed it the assist that they were probably in need of. So I think that was pretty good. I'm glad you ran that one down for
me
us.
too. I really am.
Might be worth following up to see if anybody around here is using.
I hope so. I hope they are. I hope they listen to this broadcast, or I hope they read that story, and I hope they've taken that initiative and go forward with it.
Now, Liz, I know you've been really busy for the last few weeks here, and have been working on all kinds of stuff.
I feel like you've been seeing me with my big stack of books, probably walking to and from. Yeah,
dashing to and from.
I've been doing a lot of research. I'm trying to do a series over the Treaty of 1866 and some.
Boy.
It's a undertaking, that's for sure. But I had an interview with Melissa Harjo-Moffer just about the social atmosphere during that time of leading up to the treaty, and so I've been having to read some stuff over that, and I've actually just been doing graphic novel reviews here.
Comic books.
Yeah, comic books.
Comic
books. Been able to look at those and, I mean, see some of the awesome art. I mean, there was this one that was about a native vampire. It was interesting.
All kinds of interesting names start popping to mind.
Yeah, well, my son really likes it because it's like a black and white comic, but it has like those tones of red, you know, and he like really looks at it. He's 4, so he's going open it. He was like, "Look, Mom, look at this scary stuff." Like, yep. So.
Should introduce him to Arrogant Star then.
Yeah. Oh man, both of my sons. My oldest, he's an artist. He likes to draw all his favorite characters and stuff. So.
Speaking of artists, now I remember you had a chance to chat about the Canon exhibit up at the Gilcrease.
Yes, we had one. As a matter of fact, they came here. They came here on the show, and it's going on until next month.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, and they were just telling me about, what I guess all the preparations to get ready for that exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what they went through. Oh man, and just the history of, because the history of what T.C. Cannon went through, you know, and it was amazing just to hear that, and what was going on during that time, and we were, and just things of like, you know, it wasn't just really just an artist in one specific area.
Oh no,
it was numerous things, and
he really kind of broke the mold for Native artists. There, you know, Oklahoma had been famous for a number of artists who were very careful in their style, in depictions and representations, but then he just bang, let's do this modern art kind of thing with an Indian twist to it. So it was pretty cool.
And that's what was so great about that was they don't know it until after the fact.
Yeah, after the fact, say, hey, look what I did. And unfortunately, he was mostly honored after he was gone. Isn't that an old story? Okay, well, we're about out of time. This is Gary Fife saying Mado.
And this is Liz Gray saying Mado.
Darren DeLon, Mado.
And check with us next week for more Muskogee Radio. You've been listening to Muskogee Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. Mado.